Here in Salt Lake City, we have quite a reputation nationally as being a welcoming place in general, Crossroads of the West, but also for the LGBT community.
We do live in a very friendly community. There's no doubt. And the LGBT community here has really been in its prime. Like, we have really come a long way in self-acceptance and acceptance from our community. A circumstance like this, though, where incidents like this tragedy happen, you cannot help but not be afraid at some level, because the whole month is Pride. And there are more celebrations happening here in Utah with the Human Rights Commission dinner that happened. And, you know, so every time there is an event here that really celebrates the LGBTQ community, it gives pause for me as mayor, because it's my job to make sure we have a safe city. And we're just not sure how strategic and how many people are involved in the potential of creating a very tragic incident like in Orlando.
When you look at some of the things, Mayor, that have been diffused, that we're going to target a gay pride parade or something of that nature, and now we're still trying to get the facts, we're still trying to get the information. Who knows what kind of background this kid, Omar Mateen, finally absolutely had. His father, as we learn more and more about him, is appearing to be a more and more colorful character all the time. But he said, quote, "God will punish those involved in homosexuality," saying that it's not an issue that humans should deal with. And boy, I'll tell you, Mayor, the more I'm learning about the background of this father and his television show and what CBS, at least one consultant to CBS, described almost as delusional, you wonder what kind of environment this kid grew up in.
Right. And, you know, I think oftentimes what we find when people act in such a violent manner, that there is a history that came with their youth that is pretty unsettling as well. And, you know, that's part of why I'm such a strong advocate of mental health care and trying to make sure that people are able to obtain mental health care in this country. And we just simply fall short, and we have consistently for a very long time.
What would you say to the folks in Salt Lake City in general about their security and safety, but in light of this tragic shooting, the worst in modern American history, and I'm not sure, it very well may be the worst in our entire history for a mass shooting, mass killing, since it was focused on the LGBT community in Orlando? What would you say to the folks today, Mayor?
Well, I know that law enforcement is doing their due diligence in making sure that all leads on anything potential are being followed up on. Always being mindful of the rights of people, of course, but also taking into consideration anything that may be something that was being looked into but not aggressively, maybe now should be. And they're all over it. I mean, everybody, the law enforcement agencies are really communicating quite heavily right now. And I think that should bring people some comfort for sure.
Why isn't that one of the things that's distressing here? Because this individual was on the radar all the way to the FBI and had been looked at twice, and especially since he had gun permitting, since he worked for a security agency, it's a British-owned, he theoretically could have been guarding some very significant spots on a contract basis. So, boy, you know, how often are we hearing that, yeah, these folks were kind of on the radar, but we didn't really find anything?
Well, and that's just it. Unless they do something illegal, you have to live by the laws of our land. And I think in many ways we're grateful for that. It's an incident like this that is so shocking and not completely predictable. And because this individual was not kind of bragging about what's coming, I think that made it difficult for us to really get to him in time.
Yeah. Jackie Biskupski, our Salt Lake City mayor, and the mayor and I chatted a little bit more. She expressed honestly some concerns about the accessibility of guns and so on, but unfortunately time does not permit any more of that conversation at this point. We'll be talking with Congressman Chris Stewart coming up also, but I really do appreciate Mayor Biskupski bent over backwards to be able to be on the program today, and again, we recorded that conversation just a little bit earlier today.